Welcome to 25 and Broke, where I teach you how to stop being broke financially, socially, physically, and spiritually so that you can stop being a wuss and start being a winner.
Today we're talking about I'm depressed, but nobody cares. Okay, fine. So I get questions all the time. People call in, they write in, they email in, they send a video, whatever. And, this question is, hey, I'm depressed all the time, but nobody cares. What should I do about it? Listen, Bold Nation, I get it, right? We all go through highs and we go through lows. You get those dips, valleys, whatever, those low times in your life. You can't avoid it, right? It just happens. Here's what you can do about it when it happens. And that's key. You do have control over how you handle the depression that comes at you. You do not have control over what comes at you in life. Does that make sense? Good. So, Here's what I find, right? So that's a two-part question, or statement. I'm depressed. That's a problem. That's a major problem. And then, but nobody cares, right? So that's the second part. Let's address that part first. Why don't people care that you're depressed? And maybe you have one or two people in your life that do care. And they, enable you and they try to help you, but you keep going back into these depressions and you're like this, habitual depressed person. I've dated people like this. I've dated girls like this, right? Where they are just down in the dumps all the time. And sometimes there's chemical imbalances. There's bipolar disorder. There's all different illnesses out there, right? And it's all the crap in the food, in my opinion, that we eat, right? All these chemicals and synthetic materials and everything. And it messes us up, our minds, our emotions, our nervous systems, etc., right? So maybe you're that person. Maybe you are that person that is depressed often. Again, that sucks, right? It definitely sucks. I feel you. And I'm going to share my own story on that where I'm no stranger to it, right? I've been depressed in the past. But let me address this first. Why don't people care? People do not care that you're depressed because people are busy dealing with their own struggles. And they barely can keep themselves up and keep themselves afloat, keep themselves positive, keep themselves from becoming depressed just like you. So they don't have the strength, the energy, the resources, the talents, the gifting to lift you up when you're down. If anything, they're going to try to avoid you because you're that negative person. And you may not be a negative person generally, but when you're depressed, let's face it, you're negative, right? You're going to bring others down. You're that heavy anchor that anybody comes in contact with you, you're going to latch onto them to stay afloat or lift yourself up and drag them down, right? So that's why. That is the reason why people don't really care. People are in their own worlds, in their own bubbles. Own that. Don't take it personally. Know that you have to take charge of your own life, right? So here we go. So here's what I do when I'm down, right? I get down, I get depressed. Back in the day, I told you I went through depression issues, especially when I was godless. I had no faith. I was just out partying and, getting laid left and right and just living that lifestyle, of just what society promises. I was living the dream, as a young guy, and it was empty. I had voids and that needed to be filled, so I filled them with the wrong things that just brought temporary happiness but then disappeared, and I needed the next thing, the next, fix, if you will, kind of like a drug, an addiction. And, that's probably the cause of the depression, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about the cause of what causes depression in your life, right? There's so many different things that could cause depression in your life. What I do want to talk about today is what you can do when you're in that depression stage, or state, right? When your mind is just negative and you're thinking about, man, everything's wrong in my life. I'm just like other people have it better. I wish I had that, but I don't. Why do I keep failing? Why do I keep struggling? Why am I not where I want to be in life? Et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I do. When I'm down in the dumps, when I'm feeling negative, when crap is hitting me, just negativity, people, noise, or whatever, the first freaking thing I do, like a trigger now, it's a reaction, it's a reflex, is that I fill my mind with positive things that lift me up. So when I'm feeling down, I fill my mind with things that lift me back up. Immediately. It has to be intentional. All right. So I can't control what's going in, as far as the negativity. I can to a certain respect, but I can control what I do with it. Right. And I can put good in to drown out the negative. So here's what I do. 3 steps. Ready? 3 steps. First thing I do, motivation. Motivation, it gets a bad rap, but it's useful. It's very useful. People say, how often, should I do something that motivates me? How often should I practice motivation? Well, famous quote is, motivation is like showering. It's recommended daily. Right? So as often as you take a shower, that's as often as you put good motivation in. So I go to Tony Robbins for motivation. He's one of my go-to guys. I just resonate with him and his message, and he pumps me up, gets me back into a good positive state. Sometimes that's not enough, right? Motivation is fleeting. It's short-lived. So my next, step 2, inspiration, right? So inspiration. So what do I do for inspiration? I look for interviews, stories of people's before and after, people that are now successful or now happy, but who struggled, who were down in the dumps in their own depression, but they broke through it. They got out of it. And man, that inspires me. It fires me up, and it makes me believe I can do it too. And you can as well. And then the third step, here's the third step, right? Gratitude. Gratitude is key, right? So after I've done motivation, I've done inspiration, now I need to practice gratitude. And gratitude is simply going out and helping somebody who needs help more than I do. Going out and helping someone, giving to someone who needs help. And the second you do that, you feel better. I feel better about where I am. And my problems seem small next to this person's problems that I'm helping and I'm serving. And immediately, my state has changed. I'm out of that negative feelings, thoughts, and depression, and that's how you do it. That's your 1, 2, 3 step thing. So motivation, step 1, inspiration, step 2, and gratitude, step 3. Here's the bad news. The bad news is you are responsible for your own happiness. That's the bad news. Let me give you the good news. The good news is you are responsible for your own happiness. It's a two-edged sword. So what that means is you have the choice, the decision to get up and either act upon those 3 steps I just gave you, or do nothing and just complain and be that victim person, right? So if you choose to, and I hope you choose to, you could go from victim to victory. You could go from trials to triumph. That is up to you. I wish that for you. My name is Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Catch you tomorrow. Peace.